Welcome to another episode of Booth Ross and the Joy of Mathing, episode 11.1. So, first things first I want to talk about is circumference. Well, before we do that, let's talk about arc length. Arc length is the length of the actual arc, while if you recall, arc measure are the degrees. So this is the degrees or the angle. Okay, arc length is the actual length of the arc. Okay, so in order to find arc length, we do need to know how to find our circumference. So circumference is found two different ways. You can either do pi times the diameter or 2 pi times the radius. Well, the reason the second one's true is because if you do, the diameter is always double the radius. So that's why it's always true. So 2 times r multiplied by pi. So let's go ahead and just do some quick examples. We're going to go ahead and leave our answers in terms of pi. So for number 1, we've got 7 centimeters as our diameter. So we'll use this first one. It's pi times the diameter. So pi times 7 or 7 pi is our circumference. So that's our answer. And then I'll put centimeters because that's our unit. That's our answers in terms of pi. It's also our exact answer. If you were looking for an approximate answer, or if they asked for a decimal, then you would type it in and you'd get 21.99 approximately centimeters. Okay, so that's the approximate. I shouldn't box that because that's not technically our answer, but that's the general idea. But for this next one, I'll go ahead and keep it in terms of pi. So remember our circumference, or on our second one, we've got our radius for this one. So we'll do 2 times pi times the radius, 2.1. But the nice thing is you can go in any order you want. So I'm going to go ahead and do 2 times 2.1. So it's 4.2 pi, not c, pi. And then my unit would be feet. And there you have it. So to go on with what I had said, just to introduce what the arc lengths are. Remember, the measure of an arc is in degrees, while an arc length is a fraction of the circumference. So it's a linear measurement. Okay, so here's what's interesting, or an interesting thing to note. The measure of the arcs for both of these circles, so when I say both, I'm talking about the small circle versus this big circle. Wow, I'm really good at drawing circles. The measure of the arcs will be exactly the same because it's whatever the angle is. The length of each arc, because the circumferences will be bigger, will be different, so the length of those arcs, or the arc lengths, will be different, okay? So because an arc length is a fractional part, you actually, in order to find the arc length, you figure out what fraction of the circle, so this is how you find it, what fraction of the circle this is included. So for instance, 90 degrees right here would be a fourth of the circle. And you can find that by doing 90 divided by the full 360. That's what this is saying. And then you find the arc length by multiplying that fraction by the circumference.